Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
Welcome to this edition of Market Mantra, in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I'm Anubha Rohatgi, and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Nikhil Shukla.
नमस्कार, मार्केट मंत्र में आप सभी का स्वागत है। प्रतिदिन की तरह आज भी हम देश और दुनिया से आर्थिक, व्यापारिक और शेयर बाजार के ताजा समाचार आपके लिए लेकर के आए हैं और हम उन पर चर्चा भी करेंगे। चर्चा के लिए स्टूडियो में आमंत्रित हैं आर्थिक विशेषज्ञ उद्यन रे। उद्यन जी, कार्यक्रम में आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। धन्यवाद। और सबसे पहले हम शुरुआत करते हैं हेडलाइंस के साथ में। अनुभा।
Thank you, Nikhil. Government distributes more than 2,41,000 crore rupees to over 11 crore farmers so far under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Domestic share indices gain more than 0.5%. Sensex closes above the 58,000 mark. Nifty settles above the 17,100 level. Gold slips marginally to 59,230 rupees per 10 gram for April contracts at MCX, and Brent crude hover around $74 per barrel.
सरकार ने अब तक प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान निधि पीएम किसान के तहत देश के 11 करोड़ से अधिक किसानों को 2,41,000 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की राशि वितरित की। घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में 0.5% से अधिक की बढ़त। सेंसेक्स 58,000 से ऊपर और निफ्टी 17,159 के स्तर से ऊपर पहुंचा। सोना मामूली गिरावट के साथ अप्रैल के वायदा कारोबार में 59,230 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम और ब्रेंट कच्चे तेल की कीमत $74 प्रति बैरल के आसपास पहुंची। सरकार अब तक प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान निधि पीएम किसान के तहत देश के 11 करोड़ से अधिक किसानों को 2,41,000 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की राशि वितरित कर चुकी है। लोकसभा में एक लिखित उत्तर में कृषि और किसान कल्याण मंत्री नरेंद्र सिंह तोमर ने कहा कि इस योजना के तहत किसानों के बैंक खातों में 2,000 रुपए की 4 महीने की किस्तों में प्रतिवर्ष 6,000 रुपए की राशि सीधे हस्तांतरित की जाती है। केंद्रीय मंत्री ने कहा कि पीएम किसान केंद्र की एक प्रमुख योजना है और दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी प्रत्यक्ष लाभ अंतरण योजनाओं में से एक है। उन्होंने कहा कि इस योजना का उद्देश्य देश भर में खेती योग्य भूमि वाले किसानों को वित्तीय सहायता प्रदान करना है, ताकि वे कृषि और संबद्ध गतिविधियों के साथ अन्य आकस्मिक खर्चों का ध्यान भी रख सकें। उद्यम जी, इस योजना की शुरुआत 1 दिसंबर 2018 को की गई थी। तब से लेकर के अभी तक हम बहुत सारे बदलाव देख चुके हैं। इस योजना के परिप्रेक्ष्य में किसानों की स्थिति को आप किस तरह से देखते हैं?
सबसे अच्छी बात इस परियोजना की ये है, ये डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर है। हस्तांतरण सीधा होता है। पहले बिचौलिए दूसरे जो वहां से लीकेज होता था, वो एक बहुत बड़ी दिक्कत थी और ये एक तरीके से हमारा एक नेगेटिव था, क्योंकि लीकेज हो जाता तो जो फाइनल बेनिफिशियरी जो थे उनको फायदा नहीं होता था। और ये हमें ये दिखाता है कि ये चीज संभव है। जैसे आपने कहा कि विश्व का सबसे बड़ा डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर का बड़ा प्रोग्राम है। ये जो हमने अपने डिजिटल बैकबोन बनाए हैं, आधार, हम फाइनेंशियल इंक्लूजन, जनधन अकाउंट्स, ये उसका जो हमने एक मूलभूत ढांचा बनाया था फाइनेंशियल, उसका ये बेनिफिट लाभ हम उठा रहे हैं। और आगे चल के चाहे वो इंश्योरेंस हो या पेंशन हो या दूसरे बेनिफिट्स हो, वो काफी फायदेमंद होता है। और दूसरी बात यह है कि जैसे कि हमने हेल्थ इमरजेंसी में हमने पिछले 2 साल में देखा, तब जब लोगों का निकलना मुश्किल हो जाता है, तब कॉन्टैक्टलेस ट्रांसफर ऑफ बेनिफिट्स का फायदा हो रहा है। और मोबाइल क्योंकि अधिकतर भारतीयों के हाथ में आ रहा है और हम स्मार्टफोन की तरफ ज्यादातर भारतीय आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, तो इसका फायदा और भी आगे चल के फाइनेंशियल जो एक बात जो थी कि कुछ बेनिफिट, कुछ लाभ तरक्की की कुछ लोगों को मिलता था, अब वो बिल्कुल नीचे तक जा रहा है। ये एक बहुत ही अच्छी बात है।
Moving on, New and Renewable Energy Minister R.K. Singh has said that in line with the Prime Minister's announcement at COP26, his ministry is working towards achieving 500 gigawatts of installed electricity capacity from non-fossil fuels by 2030. In a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today, Mr. Singh said as on 28th February this year, around 169 gigawatt renewable energy capacity has been installed in the country. Udayan, yesterday we saw there was this, announcement that came out of the UN panel on climate change, and it said, in fact, it's given kind of a final warning that current goals are not enough to limit global warming. In that context, India's efforts towards installing and towards, achieving, getting power and energy through non-renewable, or I beg your pardon, through non-fossil sources. How important are these steps?
Those are very important, and we have been very ambitious, but let's not forget, we are also, you cannot overnight do these changes. We have seen what has happened in some of the Western countries, developed countries. They tried to move too fast, and in between there was a shock, and there was this whole economic system that came under pressure. So while you would want to do certain things, in the present systems, the system is aligned towards benefiting everybody. Manufacturing, economic activities are aligned to that energy source. To change it overnight is not possible. We have to do that. Not only do that, we have to also keep in mind there's a huge amount of population who have to be brought to a certain economic standard.
Yes.
So it's a big challenge, and if India can do it, I think India can do it. Then practically you're lifting the whole planet into the right zone. So we can be more ambitious, but there's the risk of being more ambitious we are seeing. So I'm sure as we go along, things will get accelerated and we'll get smarter, things will get better. They normally do.
Right. The Lok Sabha today passed the Appropriation Number 2 Bill 2023 with voice vote amid din. The bill was introduced in the House by Minister of State for Finance, Pankaj Chaudhary. The Appropriation Bill Number 2 2023 authorized payment and appropriation of 2,70,508 crore rupees from and out of Consolidated Fund of India for the services related to financial year 2022-23.
और अब शेयर बाजार पे हम नजर डालें तो देश के प्रमुख घरेलू शेयर बाजारों में आज लगभग 0.5% से अधिक की बढ़त दर्ज हुई। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 58,000 से ऊपर जाकर बंद हुआ। नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी 17,100 अंक के स्तर से ऊपर पहुंच गया। वैश्विक शेयर बाजार के सकारात्मक रुख के बीच दोनों शेयर बाजारों में ये वृद्धि देखी गई। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 0.77% के नुकसान से बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स 0.77% के फायदे के साथ 446 अंक ऊपर आकर 58,075 पर बंद हुआ। वहीं नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी 0.7% के लाभ के साथ 119 अंक चढ़कर 17,108 पर पहुंच गया। विस्तारित बाजार की ओर चले तो बीएसई मिड कैप इंडेक्स में 0.66% की तेजी हुई और स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स 0.50% की बढ़त दर्ज करता हुआ बंद हुआ।
The key domestic share markets today posted gains of more than 0.5%. The Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange closed above the 58,000 mark, while the Nifty at the National Stock Exchange ended above the 17,100 level. Both indices rose amid positive global cues. The Sensex climbed 446 points or 0.77% to finish at 58,075. The Nifty surged 119 points or 0.7% to settle at 17,108. In the broader market at the BSE, the mid-cap index rose 0.66% and the small-cap index added 0.50%. In the Sensex index, which is a pack of 30 companies, shares of 18 companies rose while 12 fell. Reliance gained 3.1%, followed by Bajaj Finance, which rose by 2.9%, and Titan, which added 2.2%. On the other hand, Power Grid plunged 2%, Hindustan Unilever declined 1.9%, and Tech Mahindra fell 1.2%. In sectoral indices at the BSE, 15 sectors gained, while 5 logged losses. Consumer durable sector gained 1.6%. Financial sector rose 1.4%. BankX index added 1.3%. On the other side, IT sector fell 0.8%, followed by FMCG and realty sectors as both declined 0.6% each. The overall market breadth was positive as shares of 1,978 companies rose while those of 1,550 companies fell. A total of 119 shares remained unchanged. Udayan, we saw around 0.6% fall yesterday in the markets, and the markets have recouped almost the same amount today. And of course, like we said, it's all to do with global positive cues that we're getting from global markets. Of course, one factor being the UBS, takeover of Credit Suisse. What are the other factors?
Well, this is a relief rally. As you very rightly mentioned, the takeover has assuaged some fears. So it's not gone away. It's just made people feel a little better. So it's helped the market retrace some steps. But a very crucial development that is waiting to happen is tomorrow's Fed decision. So, so what is going to be the commentary? Are they going to raise interest rates? And pretty much like the past 3 years and even before that, any decision which Federal Reserve is taking is influencing not only U.S. Stock markets, U.S. real economy, but global markets. So it's going to influence that. Not only that, the commentary. What do they think about inflation? And there's this whole because of the developments in the banking sector in U.S. and Europe. It will be very interesting to see what is the commentary, because are they going to just focus on inflation, or they are going to do something about financial stability? So that is what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. But in this week, the other key part is, which probably has not come out in the media, is there are developments afoot in US where there seems to be some talk about having deposit guarantees or insurance for all kinds of deposits, not certain banks, and for a limited period. If that were to happen, because leading bankers are in action out there, you will see another relief rally. If there's no nasty surprise tomorrow in the Federal Reserve meeting, some people are talking about a pause. I think that's pretty unlikely to happen. Simply because if you stop it, then if they stop it, Federal Reserve is unlikely to be able to control inflation. Simply because it will not be able to manage get a grip on the
gap, which will come in.
Yeah, in terms of inflation expectations. So it will send a mixed signal. So, and if you look at some of the commentary that's come, say, from Janet Yellen, so she's on record and saying that some of the bank pressures have been because of the investments and their risk management, and that has nothing to do with systemic issues, and it's individual decisions. So that is something that comes in. On the flip side, to close this comment, would be if in the next 7 days we get to know about other banks which are getting under pressure. So that pretty much, if that development which I'm talking about, where this whole people are trying to, in the US, they are trying to have a limited period coverage for all deposit, regardless, any of the bank deposit. If that comes in, then that base gets covered. So these are some of the factors that might just go on to influence the markets.
We would like you just said that today's rally in the market, or the relief rally, the technical rally that you're talking about, it's because of what is happening in the US or what is happening in the banking sector. But a clearer picture of the overall impact of this banking crisis is going to take some time before the bigger picture becomes clear. So although banks in India are relatively safer from what's happening in the US and Europe, are there any sectors of Indian economy which may possibly be affected by the banking crisis which is happening in the US and Europe? I mean, especially the IT sector, which we see is not doing so well. We see today also the market.
Yes, IT sector does have an exposure. And if there are cuts, when you do M&A, when you merge two entities, then you will downsize some of the budget. So if that happens, some of the spends, they are rationalized, then there might be some effect on that. A. B is when you have if this leads to more regulations in the banking, which looks pretty likely. Because some of them got relaxed in 2018, where you cover more number of banks and they're asked to, do lots of other precautions, improve the capital or reserves or whatever. Now, if there's more regulation, then that means there's lesser credit going out.
Yes.
If that happens, automatically, this is Christine Lagarde, who's the ECB chairperson. She's on record saying that she didn't expand it, but this is what she means. She's saying that what monetary authorities would have done, this might just end up doing that. They might not have to do so much. The rate hikes may not have to happen simply because once you regulate the banks a little more, then what happens is your credit flow becomes that much lesser. You become more selective,
Yes.
and that will have an impact on certain kinds of economic activity. You're going to be more prudent. You're going to take care of more things. So it might just slow down things. If that happens, that slowdown of economic activity, our exports that go, they might just face, in certain sectors, they might just face a little more pressure than they are doing so at the moment. So these are some of the first order effects that one can see. In terms of markets, this is, in terms of IT stocks, you're already seeing it.
उदयन, अभी जैसे आपने बात बताई, बहुत सारी उसमें ऐसी चीजें निकल करके सामने आई जो ये लगता है कि मार्केट को, इंडिया में बहुत सारी चीजें इस वक्त प्रेशर डाल रही हैं कि एक छोटा निवेशक जो निवेश करने के लिए सोच रहा है वो सारी चीजों को बहुत गहराई से समझ रहा है. ऐसे में आपने आईटी सेक्टर का भी जिक्र किया, बैंकिंग का भी जिक्र किया, लेकिन आज काफी अच्छा लोगों को रिस्पॉन्स देखने को मिला है. लेकिन अगर कल की हम बात करते हैं, कल पूरा मार्केट इस तरह से था कि लोगों को शायद ये लग रहा था अब ये उठना इतनी जल्दी संभव नहीं होगा.
नहीं, देखिए, ये जब कई बार मार्केट अगर आप बिल्कुल सिंपल, रिडिकुलसली सिंपल करना चाहते हैं, तो एक तो फंडामेंटल जिसे कहते हैं बही खाते, फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स और बिजनेस फैक्टर्स से आप देखते हैं कि और वैल्यूएशन वगैरह करते हैं और देखते हैं कि सही वाजिब दाम है कि नहीं, वो एक तरीका. दूसरा होता है सेंटिमेंट. इस वक्त जो रोल प्ले कर रहा है वो सेंटिमेंट है. थर्ड है एक्सटर्नल फैक्टर, टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई, एकदम से चैट जीपीटी टाइप का कुछ आ गया, या एक सेंट्रल बैंक ने खूब सारा लिक्विडिटी इन्फ्यूज कर दिया, वो बातें अलग हैं. पर मोटे रूप से सेंटिमेंट और फंडामेंटल्स का खेल रहता है. तो अभी ये सेंटिमेंट ड्रिवन है. जहां तक अगर हमने आईटी के बारे में बात की, तो आप अगर बैंकिंग में देखें, वो बहुत दिलचस्प एरिया इंडियन बैंकिंग, क्योंकि उससे ज्यादा रोबस्ट मेरे ख्याल से वो किस मजबूती के साथ इस प्रेशर को हैंडल कर रहा है, क्योंकि इतने 12 साल से वहां पे सुधार किए जा रहे हैं, उसमें काम हो रहा है. डिटॉक्सिफाई, जो जितना अनवांटेड चीजें थी वो बाहर निकली हैं, अब बहुत फ्रेश है. और मुझे तो बहुत ही एक्साइटिंग लगता है बैंकिंग, स्पेशली अब अगर साल भर हम लोगों का परफॉर्मेंस अच्छा रहा, इकोनॉमिक रीजन मॉडरेट भी रहता है. पीएसयू बैंक स्टॉक जिसके बारे में कोई अगर बात करता था, मेरे जैसा आदमी मुंह फेर लेता था. अब मुझे लगता है कि बैंकिंग इज गेटिंग वेरी एक्साइटिंग. एक्साइटिंग एज इन जहां पे आप उम्मीद रख सकते हैं, जहां पे साफ सफाई है, समझ सकते हैं कि क्या हो रहा है. नास्टी सरप्राइज आपको उतना नहीं लगता है, रेगुलेशन ठीक ठाक है. ऐसे मतलब हाई प्रोफाइल जो केसेस हैं जहां पे लगता है भाई यहाँ पे गड़बड़ है, ये कुछ हो सकता है, वो चीजें नहीं है. देखिए, स्टॉक मार्केट का जो गेम है, अगर गेम कहा जा सकता है, वहां पे विजिबिलिटी ऑफ अर्निंग्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. क्या आपको अर्निंग्स की विजिबिलिटी दिख रही है कि नहीं. तो हमारे यहाँ पे क्योंकि बैंक बीएफएसआई स्पेस जो है हमारे इंडेक्स का अच्छा खासा वेट वो करती हैं, तो ओवरऑल मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि हम एक फर्मर विकेट में हैं. वनस्पत दूसरी जगह. आई नो दिस साउंड्स क्लीशेड, ये बात 1 लाख बार कही जा चुकी है, पर अब देखिए ना हमारे बैंकिंग स्टॉक्स कितनी मजबूती के साथ मुकाबला कर रहे हैं.
And Udayan, do you think, because you're talking about the robustness of the Indian banking sector, which everybody is saying is because of its resilience and so many factors, it's relatively sheltered from what's happening in the rest of the world. Do you think there's a lesson for the Western world, for the developed markets and banking systems to be learned from the way we have handled our banking sector?
See,
we were talking about the insurance, that is already in place. RBI has...
No, that is there. But, what happens is, in times of high growth, we don't look, the word starts with S and ends with Y, okay? So we can't say in a public broadcast. But, we don't look exciting. Our banking is still a boring bank. If you look at Credit Suisse, there's wealth management, all kinds of exotic products and investments are being, taken care of. It's still plain vanilla. Retail focused. RBI is doing stress tests. We have had some issues, whether it was NBFC, IL&FS and company. Then we had some bank issues, cooperative. So we have really been working hard. And therefore, because we are battle ready and we have been battle experienced, therefore things are right there. So we are doing what banking is all about, traditional banking.
Without being glamorous, unlike the West.
Yeah, so we are not doing wealth management, we are not playing derivatives and all that. So RBI has been often accused of being conservative, boring, this, that. But in times like this, you say, thank God.
Yes,
thank
God.
उद्यन आप हमने कई सारी चीजों कई सेक्टर्स पे जिक्र किया, लेकिन मेरे दिमाग में पावर सेक्टर का था कि पावर सेक्टर के बारे में किस तरह का देखने को मिल सकता है हमें.
देखिए, हम पावर सेक्टर में हमारे जो इनपुट कॉस्ट है वो चैलेंज बना रहेगा, क्योंकि अब हमारा पीक सीजन आ रहा है. अगर कोल बेस्ड पावर है तो वो कोल का एक चैलेंज तो बना रहता है, तो वो एक चैलेंज बना रहेगा. पर आगे बढ़ के हम लोग, जैसे कि आपने खबरों में पढ़ा कि ऑल्टरनेट सोर्स से हम पावर जनरेशन की तरफ जा रहे हैं. पर ये जो वो वाला जो दूसरा पोर्टफोलियो का हिस्सा है जो नॉन रिन्यूएबल एरिया है, वो 2030 तक वो एक ऐसा साइज लेगा जिसके बारे में बातचीत करेंगे, जिसके बारे में 10-15 मिनट आप बात कर पाएंगे.
इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक होने वाला है
जी. पर अभी वो नहीं हुआ है, पर वहां पे एक चैलेंज का मुद्दा मुझे लगता है बना रहेगा.
और अब एशियाई शेयर बाजारों में नजर डालें तो एशियाई शेयर बाजारों में वृद्धि देखी गई. हांगकांग का हैंग सेंग सूचकांक 1.3% लाभ में रहा. सिंगापुर का स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स सूचकांक 1.1% ऊपर आ गया. चीन के शंघाई कंपोजिट सूचकांक में 0.6% की वृद्धि हुई. दक्षिण कोरिया के कॉस्पी में 0.4% का उछाल आया. इस बीच जापान के निक्केई 225 में आज अवकाश के कारण कारोबार नहीं हुआ. यूरोपीय क्षेत्र की हम बात करें तो अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में आज बढ़त का रुख देखने को मिला. जर्मनी का डेक्स 1.7% ऊपर आ गया. फ्रांस का कैक 0.5% फायदे में रहा और लंदन का FTSE 100 1.4% की तेजी के साथ कारोबार कर रहा था.
Moving on to the U.S. market, U.S. stocks jumped yesterday after a deal to rescue Credit Suisse and the U.S. central bank efforts to bolster confidence in the financial system relieved investors. Participants also weighed the likelihood of a pause in rate hikes from the Federal Reserve this week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 1.2%, the S&P 500 rose 0.9%, and the Nasdaq Composite Index climbed 0.4%. Udyan, you've already told us that a pause is very unlikely so far as the, U.S. Fed is concerned. Then what is your expectation? 25% basis point, which is what is being, touted?
Yes, it's 25 basis points. And importantly, what is the commentary they're going to do in terms of troubled banks? Any line, any word that is coming in terms of troubled banks, what are they going to do? Because certain banks, the large banks, that's not a problem. They have been well regulated. But it's the second and the third tier ones. How are they going to do? How are they going to find out if anything is wrong? Because that is the unknown. Because they have never been, they have not been so tightly regulated. And clearly in this case, what has happened is the risk management. Basically, it was an interest rate hikes happened, and it was an interest rate risk, which led to a liquidity risk where you cannot, pay your depositors back, and suddenly depositors feel nervous. So, how are they going to take care of liquidity? How are they going to protect the depositors? If they can come up with some lines which reassures the market, then you can expect things to really look up. Of course, there are still one or two banks where bailout packages have been given, yet markets are not satisfied.
And talking about the U.S. Fed and its meeting which is due later today and tomorrow, there is also the RBI meeting which is due next month. What do you think are the prospects of a rate hike there? How is RBI going to be dealing with it?
Well, I think RBI is going to be, as the cliche goes, data driven. And it's going to look at things. It's still there's some bit of work that needs to be done to bring the inflation down. Now, I think the balls are up in the air. Things are not as difficult for us as, say, in the US, UK and all that. But I would imagine that they would be looking very, very hard towards containing the inflation. So unless they're very confident that it's on a downward trajectory, sharply, while there is a commentary that because of a lower wholesale prices,
Yes.
that's going to feed into retail prices, they'll obviously need to see evidence of that.
Yes.
Because the last thing you want is prices remaining high, because that hits even the most vulnerable Indian.
The Finance Ministry in its latest monthly report has said, economic report, that, those, the WPI that you've been mentioning, wholesale price index, we will see the trickling down effect in retail prices, consumer prices in months to come.
That's what the hope is, that's what the expectation is. But then, there are issues like the rains that we have had in the past 5
Yes.
days. They have caused a little bit of grief, not little bit, quite a bit of grief in terms of crops. So sometimes what happens is these things can come and, create a little bit of problem. On the flip side, global oil prices have gone down.
Yes.
So, you'll obviously, when we say data driven, and it sounds cliched, but we can't help it because it's data, it has to be data driven.
और कार्यक्रम में आगे बढ़ते हैं। गोल्ड पर नजर डालें तो मल्टी कमोडिटी एक्सचेंज में अप्रैल के वादा कारोबार वाला सोना 275 रुपए की गिरावट के साथ 59,230 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम पर था। मई अनुबंध वाली चांदी 70 रुपए मजबूत होकर 68,910 रुपए प्रति किलो पर थी। उधर न्यूयॉर्क मर्केंटाइल एक्सचेंज में सोना उछाल के साथ $1,988.60 प्रति औंस पर था। इसी तरह से चांदी तेजी के साथ $22.60 प्रति औंस पर कारोबार कर रही थी। उदयन, गोल्ड के बारे में आपके क्या विचार होने?
देखिए, अगर ये फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम के ऊपर कॉन्फिडेंस, जैसे बैंकिंग, वहां पे जैसी कॉन्फिडेंस में डगमगा जाता है, तो आप पाएंगे कि गोल्ड का डिमांड बढ़ जाता है, जो कि लाइफ टाइम हाई की तरफ जा रहा है। मेरे ख्याल से $2,000 क्रॉस कर गए। और तो भारत में वो उसका एक इफेक्ट होगा, क्योंकि आप इंपोर्ट करते हैं। दूसरा, अगर रुपए पे दबाव होता है तो फिर वहां पे आप उछाल पाएंगे, जो कि आपको यहाँ पे वो दिख रहा है। तो ये दोनों फैक्टर्स काफी प्ले में रहेंगे।
And, we were talking about the commentary of the US Fed after the meeting. So do you think the US Fed is likely to provide guidance or pointers for the bullion markets also in its commentary, given the way the prices are going?
No, that's pretty unlikely. They have just too much on their plate. See, there are a couple of things they'll have to do. The first thing is, what are they going to be doing of inflation? What are they going to be doing of economic growth? Because they were trying to talk about both. Now, on top of that, financial stability has come in. Now, in a commentary, how much are you going to cover? So you have to actually delineate what is your top priority, what is your second, and what is your third. Or forget about 1, 2, 3. Just talk about your number one.
Moving on, oil rose today, recovering from a 15-month low hit in the previous session. Crude appreciated as the rescue of Credit Suisse eased worries about global banking sector risks that could hit economic growth and fuel demand. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at around $73.95 per barrel, while WTI crude price was at $67.80 per barrel when reports last came in. Udayan, yesterday, of course, not yesterday, but there was a 15-month low. But today we've seen the oil prices stabilizing a bit. Where do you see this trend going? Because some analysts believe that this is temporary.
Yeah, absolutely. It's impacted by the sentiment in the equity market, the banking. So that's what they're getting affected by. But overall, if the global economic growth activity slows down, the best that OPEC, the oil suppliers, can do is keep cutting supply. But it's going to be a play between that and where the economy goes.
उदयन, अभी अगर हम इस दशक की शेष अवधि की बात करते हैं तो आर्थिक वृद्धि दर 6.5% से 7% के बीच रहने की उम्मीद जताई गई है। ऐसे में जो तेल के दाम में गिरावट हो रही है, वो भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था पे किस तरह का असर डालेगी?
बहुत अच्छा असर डालेगी। हम तो इंपोर्ट करते हैं, और हमारे जो आंकड़े थे, पीछे हमने जो आंकड़े लिए थे, अजम्पशन थे $95-100। पहले तो हम $65 के हिसाब से लेते थे। जितना ये 65 के आसपास जाएगा, उतना हमारे लिए फायदा, हमारे ऊपर प्रेशर कम पड़ेगा। हमारे यहाँ पे जो प्राइसेस, अब जो पंप में अभी तक वो फर्क नहीं पड़ेगी, जो गिर रहा है आपके पंप में फर्क नहीं पड़ा, पंप प्राइसेस में फर्क पड़ेगा, तो चीजों में स्टेबिलिटी आएगी। जो प्राइसेस पीछे बढ़ी थी वो उस दर में नहीं बढ़ेगी, मुद्रास्फीति पे एक कंट्रोल पाएंगे।
और ऐसे में ये भी खबरें आ रही हैं कि ईरान भी भारत को तेल देने का इच्छुक है।
वो तब होगा अगर वहां पे एक इंटरनेशनल एग्रीमेंट होता है और उसके वजह से ऑयल सप्लाईज अगर छूट जाता है तो।
Udayan, thank you so much for joining us in the program and sharing your views with our listeners.
Thank you so much.
And now time to we're in the last minute of the program. So before we close, a reminder of the headlines. Government distributes more than 2,41,000 crore rupees to over 11 crore farmers under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi so far. Domestic share indices gain more than 0.5%. Sensex closes above the 58,000 mark. Nifty settles above the 17,100 level. Gold slips marginally to 59,230 rupees per 10 gram for April contracts at MCX. And Brent crude hovers around $74 per barrel. That's it in this edition of Market Mantra. We will be back tomorrow at 6:30 with yet another edition of Market Mantra. Do join us then. Namaskar.
Market Mantra.